In the last few years, TaylorMade Golf have released some unbelievable irons. But the one in my hands today could be their best ever. Right, so these brand new TaylorMade P790 irons. The TaylorMade P790 irons are unbelievable. There's been 2 iterations before this, coming out every 2 years, and there are never really any negatives about them. They are one of TaylorMade's best-selling irons to date, and this 3rd iteration, I imagine, will do just the same. There's a lot of technology packed into this iron, some new, some that's already existed in the old TaylorMade irons. So let's talk about the improvements that they've made, because with an iron like this, it's tough to really improve it, but there's been 3 parts that TaylorMade have really factored in here, which is looks, performance, and feel. Now everyone knows the TaylorMade P790 looks very nice, but this one, unbelievable. It may be my favorite iron they've ever released. I use the TaylorMade P770s and the P7MCs in a combo set, and what this iron has done in its design is make it look like a player's iron, but it still has a lot of forgiveness. Stay tuned for a video comparing it to the old P790s, but if I'm just looking at now, you can see with the top line they've made it quite a significant alteration here, and they've also changed the finish. It now has a pearlescent chrome, which some people may not like, but for me, I absolutely love it. It looks a lot sleeker and it looks a lot more professional. I felt that the P790s, if I could criticize the design previously, they were a little bit clunky just where they were designed. This is unreal, and it almost reminds me of a blade. Now you may be thinking, why am I comparing it to a blade? Well, trust me, it's not like that. It is extremely forgiving and has a very broad handicap range for anyone who could use it. You've got tour players using it, and you've got people who are off 25 who can use this. In terms of technology, let's talk about the main difference here, and it is actually the speed foam. Now, you may think that they've had this in other irons. They have, but what they have is speed foam air. And as well as this being a different color, it's actually lighter than the speed foam they've introduced previously, hence speed foam air. It's 3.5 grams lighter, and with that weight that they've saved, they can then use it to optimize the club head even more. Now, what does all this mean for people who are thinking about the technology? What does this actually mean to the amateur golfer? Well, a little bit higher ball speed, and that is with the same loss of the club, a lot nicer feel, and also a very superior flight, which is supposed to launch a little bit higher and land a little bit softer. I've actually already hit this here at the range at Mannings Heath Golf and Wine Estate, and I've already hit it on the Top Tracer at Hilden Golf Centre. So I've got some numbers, but I'm going to take them with a pinch of salt as you're using range balls, and it's also on Top Tracer and not on actual Launchmeister. The first thing I will say about this is the flight of this is, I've actually never seen a TaylorMade iron launch like this. Previous P790s had a really piercing flight, and you would find that some of the irons would actually go a little bit too long when you really got a hold of one. That is because of the technology, because of the speed foam, because of the speed pocket as well. But I feel like what they've done with this slightly higher flight, slightly higher launch, is made it land a little bit softer, but it actually looks like a tour flight when I'm hitting it, because it does launch quite nice. It rises a little bit and it stays at that real premium angle, so it really falls down. It's very effortless to hit, and yet it's still very forgiving. I was hitting it a little bit low on the club face today. I knew I was hitting it low on the club face, but I was still hitting it exactly the same yardages if I were to hit it pure. It looks very similar down at address in comparison to the old P790s. I don't think there's that much difference here, but that's not a negative, because the P790s previously were a stunning club and instilled a lot of confidence. In terms of distances, well, I've got a 5, 7 and a 9 iron. The 5 iron that I used at the Top Tracer went a long, long way. Now the lofts comparing to my P770s are about a club lower, so I'd expect this to go the same distance as my 4 iron. It did, but it actually went a little bit longer. I can show you the little screenshot here. It was going about 240 yards. I'm gonna take that with a little pinch of salt, but you can see the ball speed there going about 150 miles an hour. That's very, very strong. Right, so I'm on the 7th hole here at the Kingfisher course at Mannings Heath. I'm gonna hit just a few shots. This is a very, very difficult hole today. A real stiff breeze into you. It's about 165, and it's gonna be a tough shot. So I'm gonna hit just a few balls. I'm gonna hit probably about 3 or 4. I'm gonna hit a few TaylorMades and a few Callaways and a few Srixons, and just get a feel for it, and then show you my results, and also show you some feedback that I've got from the irons as well. Wind's just got a hold of that one. Such a nice strike. It's gonna catch the right side of the green, I think. This is long. That was all right. So as you guys saw by the drone footage, unfortunately I'm not a tour player, so none of them got really close to the hole in these conditions. But in terms of dispersion here, so that was the closest. I had two that flared out right but really caught the wind, but they still ended up on the green. And then my miss was a little bit left, so I've got 3 balls that are just off the green here, probably about 15 foot or so. But they're all quite consistent in distances. I did strike them all pretty well. Dispersion left and right was more of a swing problem, and that probably can be tied down to the shaft that I'm using as well. But I'm actually pretty happy with that. For a condition like it is today, to get, I would hope out of these 6 balls, maybe 5 pars, that's not too bad. Let's hit a 5-iron on the next hole and see how far it goes, and then give my final thoughts. All right, into wind, 5-iron. This thing could easily go 230 if I absolutely smash it, but I think the wind's probably gonna calm that down a bit. Let's see, let's hit a low one. Oh, I cannot get over this flight. I cannot get over the flight of this club. Whoa. All right, let's give my final thoughts. Whew. Right then guys, that brings me to the end of this video. So the brand new TaylorMade P790s. I'm a big fan of these, but actually for different reasons than what I thought I was going to be before this video. I thought these were going to be absolute monsters in terms of distance. They're going to go a long way, further than the other P790s. They're going to look great, feel great, and most of that is true. But what I think TaylorMade have done here is they haven't really prioritized distance, because they've already succeeded that in the 2019 and 2017 version. That's why the lofts are the same, and that's why they're not really pushing that much in terms of the technology. They are saying that you should get some faster ball speeds, but when it's the same lofts, you're probably going to get an extra 1 or 2 miles per hour. That's what I found when I hit that 5-iron. It went about 210 yards, which that is a long way into wind, but that kind of is the same as the previous P790s. What I think is the biggest improvement here is those 3 categories that TaylorMade said: the looks, performance, and feel. Now, everyone has to say that the looks of this brand new iron is so much better than the previous ones. The previous P790s were great, but this one looks sleeker, it looks more player ready, and it means it's more for a broader profile. Anyone can use this. If you're a tour player or if you're a high handicap player, you're going to absolutely love the look of this, and it's still going to be confident down at address. It does feel a little bit smoother off the face, less hot, and that kind of leads me to the performance section as well, because the one weird complaint that a lot of people, including me, had with the previous P790s is that sometimes they would just rock it. They would go so far, and it would be quite tough to actually get that gapping right. What TaylorMade have done here with that slightly higher flight is it's not only a more pleasing club to hit, it narrows down that dispersion. I'm confident if I hit this 7-iron in my hand here, it would go anywhere from probably about 175 to 185 yards if I'm doing it on a launch monitor. I'm also quite confident of flighting it as well, as I did on the previous hole on Mannings Heath. I think a lot of amateur golfers will get on with these, but my recommendation here is try them out with actual golf ball, because I found with the range balls that I hit, I wasn't getting that real optimal flight, whereas when I took it actually out on the course, it was very, very different. You got that tour flight that really just had such a long apex, and it looked unreal. These come in with a price tag of £1,149 with an RRP, and they will be available at retail on the 3rd of September. That is on the high side, but that is the standard for the new P7 range with TaylorMade, and it is a bit of an investment because you're going to have them for about 4 or 5 years. I'm going to test these against absolutely everything now. I'm going to test these against the 2019 P790s, against some Callaways, you name it, I'm going to do it. So stay tuned on the Golf Maniac YouTube channel, where I'm going to put these through absolutely everything, get some numbers, and see if these are right for your game. If you guys have enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, and let me know in the comments what you think about these new P790s. I'm a big fan. I think a lot of you guys will be too. A lot of tour players are, and I think this one's going to be down for the ages. If you guys are new to the Golf Maniac YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Just keep up to date with all of our videos. You name it, we've got it to keep you guys entertained for all of 2021. Myself and TaylorMade will see you at the next video.